You know that feeling when you look up at the stars
Hmm.
and you just get this incredible urge to go explore, command your own ship out there?
Absolutely. That's definitely the dream.
Well, that's the exact itch we're scratching today. We're doing a deep dive into Star Explorer, a game that really seems to be aiming for that experience.
Yeah, it's not just another arcade shooter, is it? We've been digging through these design documents, and honestly, the commitment to simulation, to real player agency,
Mhm.
it looks serious.
He really does. Like interconnected systems that could properly immerse you in a sci-fi world.
Exactly. That interconnectedness feels key.
Right. So, listener, your mission today, if you choose to accept it, is basically to join us as we pull apart the really cool bits of Star Explorer's core gameplay.
Yeah, think of it as the highlights reel. We wade through the docs so you get the essence.
Exactly, the shortcut to knowing what makes this thing tick, sparking your interest without, drowning you in tech specs. We're focusing on three main areas today. The ships, obviously, the ground vehicles, and then the character systems that kind of tie it all together.
Sounds like a plan. Where should we start? Ships.
Let's do it. Spaceships. What kinds are we talking about? Is it just fighters and freighters?
Oh, much more than that. The variety looks genuinely impressive. You've got your agile fighters, right? From light ones, maybe interceptors, up to heavy gunships that pack a serious punch.
Okay, standard combat roles.
Then you have long-range explorers. Think advanced scanners, better jump drives for really pushing out into the unknown.
Makes sense.
For the traders among us, dedicated haulers, big cargo holds. Plus, specialized mining ships, and some even have refineries on board, which is interesting. Process stuff right there.
Onboard refineries. Okay, that's pretty cool. Less hauling back and forth.
Exactly. And then you get to the big boys, capital ships, battleships, carriers. These things need multiple crew members, definitely not solo ships.
Right, end game stuff maybe.
Yeah,
Or for player groups.
seems likely. And finally, there are multi-purpose ships. Sort of, jacks of all trades you can outfit for different jobs. Versatile.
Okay, quite the lineup. So how do we actually get our hands on these? Just walk into a dealership.
Well, kinda. You can buy them straight up using in-game credits. That's one way.
Standard enough.
There's also renting. If you need a specific ship for a job or just want to try before you buy, you can rent temporarily.
Useful.
But the really interesting bit, I think, is this modular ship ownership system. You buy the basic hull, the frame,
Just the ship.
pretty much, and then you customize the inside. You fit it out how you want.
Ah, okay. So you could make your multi-purpose ship lean towards cargo or maybe exploration fitments.
Exactly that. Plus, the ship markets, they're AI-driven. Prices change based on supply and demand. So it's meant to be this living, breathing economy.
A dynamic market that could get spicy, finding deals, maybe blockades affecting prices.
Could be, yeah. And the modularity isn't just cosmetic. It really suggests specialized roles. Maybe needing specific modules only found certain places.
Yeah.
Feeds right back into that economy.
Right, right. Okay, so we've got our hull, maybe started adding interior bits. What about the core components, like guns and engines? How deep does the customization go there?
Oh, it seems to go very deep. Primary components are super customizable. Weapons, for instance. Ballistic, energy, missiles, all with modular mounts, so you can tailor your loadout.
Different hardpoint sizes and types, I imagine?
Probably. And then shields, different tech types mentioned. Maybe some recharge faster, others have higher capacity. We don't have the exact specs, but options are there.
Okay.
Engines and thrusters, obviously key. They impact speed, handling, both in space and atmosphere. Power plants got to fuel everything. Coolers, because systems will apparently overheat.
Ah, heat management. Classic sim stuff.
Yep. And computers, like avionics. Better ones might mean faster targeting, better scanning, maybe even hacking capabilities.
So tweaking these core bits is fundamental. Does it go even further, like fine-tuning?
It seems so. They mention subsystem customization. So you could, optimize individual parts of those main components, maybe boost shield power but sacrifice engine power slightly, that level of tweaking.
Okay, getting granular.
And yeah, back to the modular point. The interior isn't just modules, it's functional space. More cargo racks versus living quarters for long hauls, maybe a med bay.
And you mentioned AI co-pilots.
Right. Adaptive AI co-pilots. You can apparently get AI help with navigation, maybe combat targeting, or even damage control if things get hairy.
That sounds super useful, especially if you're flying solo in a bigger ship or just, overwhelmed.
Could be a lifesaver.
So speaking of flying, what does it actually feel like? Is it floaty arcade style or were we talking space sim realism?
They're really pushing the realism angle. They call it a Newtonian flight model. So, proper space physics, inertia is a big deal. You need to use your thrusters, like vectoring them, to maneuver properly. It's not just point and go.
Okay, so momentum matters. Counter thrusting to stop, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And that's different from flying in atmosphere where gravity and air density obviously come into play. It sounds like there'll be a real difference in handling.
And docking. You mentioned that requires skill.
Manual docking procedures, yeah. Sounds like you'll need a gentle touch. No automatic docking sequence, at least not by default.
Yeah, I foresee some expensive scratches early on.
Probably. But it adds to the immersion, right? Feeling the difference between zero-G and trying to land on a high-gravity planet where your fuel and lift are critical.
Definitely. It makes the ship feel like a real machine you have to master.
Yeah.
So how do we cross the really big distances between stars?
Right, not just thrusters for that. Jump drives for the big FTL jumps.
Yeah.
Star system to star system.
Got it. And within a system, planet hopping.
That seems to be warp drives. Shorter range, faster than sublight travel within the system.
Okay, so two types of FTL.
Yeah.
Is there any automation for long trips? Like autopilot?
Yep. Optional autopilot systems are mentioned, maybe for setting up trade routes or just long hauls where you don't want to actively pilot the whole time. And that AI assist can help with some automated tasks too, even combat support.
Good to have options. Okay, let's talk pew-pew. Space combat. How's that shaping up?
Tactical and skill-based seems to be the mantra. Critically, no auto-lock targeting. You actually have to aim.
Ah, okay. So pilot skill really matters. What about weapons?
Different types of mounts. Gimbaled weapons, they can track a bit, move within a limited arc. Fixed weapons, you point the whole ship. Big damage maybe, but harder to use.
Makes sense. Trade-offs.
And turreted weapons, controlled independently, maybe by another player or that AI co-pilot, good for larger ships.
And you mentioned stealth earlier. In space. How does that work?
Yeah, reducing your ship's signature, apparently. Lower heat, maybe less electronic emission, allows for ambushes, sneaking past patrols. It's an interesting concept in space.
Very. Okay, so inevitably we're going to take hits. What happens when the shields drop? Is it just HP going down?
No, much more detailed. Multi-layered damage. It affects hull integrity, sure, but also internal systems.
Like specifically?
Fires breaking out on board, hull breaches causing decompression, systems getting knocked offline, it affects ship performance, and crew safety is a factor too.
Wow, okay. So damage control becomes a real gameplay loop. How do you fix things?
Both manual and automated systems. Manual might mean like an EVA, a spacewalk to physically patch a hole.
Risky, especially in combat.
Totally. Or automated systems, maybe fire suppression, internal repair drones. It sounds like managing damage is as important as dealing it out. This granular damage really raises the stakes. You might need to use character skills and tools for EVA repairs, showing that link between ship and character.
Incredible depth there. Okay, shifting gears a bit. We land our ship. What about getting around on the planet's surface? What ground vehicles do we get?
Again, quite a range, tailored to different jobs. You've got recon vehicles for scouting, advanced sensors. Some might have stealth features like lower radar signature, silent running.
Sneaky scouts.
Yeah.
What about fighting?
Combat vehicles, naturally. Everything from light attack buggies up to heavy tanks, even artillery. Plus specialized stuff like anti-air platforms, missile launchers, heavily armored, obviously.
Tanks on alien planets, got it.
Anything else?
Yeah. Speed demons, racing and hover vehicles, streamlined racers for, well, racing events, and anti-gravity hover bikes for zipping around quickly.
Hover bikes, nice. And utility stuff.
Yep. Transport and utility. Think big cargo haulers for ground transport, mining vehicles with drills and processors, even mobile repair or medical vehicles to support field ops.
A vehicle for every job, it seems. How do we get them down there, though? Does the ship just beam them down?
Probably not. Typically, they're carried in vehicle bays on larger ships, so your ship choice might limit what ground vehicles you can bring.
Ah, okay. Ship is mobile base. Makes sense.
Although they do mention orbital drop pods for some military vehicles. Rapid deployment. Straight from orbit onto the battlefield.
Okay, that sounds cool. A dramatic entrance. Definitely. And once you're planet-side, you can store and retrieve vehicles at outposts and spaceports, so you don't always have to lug everything around in your ship.
Good. So what do we do with these vehicles? Just drive around?
Seems like a lot more. Exploring harsh terrain, obviously, but also large-scale ground battles, those racing events we mentioned, and specialized resource gathering using the mining vehicles. Transport missions too, presumably?
Sounds like they're trying to make ground activities as deep as the space stuff. Any cool tech in the vehicles themselves?
Yeah, quite a bit. Physics-based suspension, so they should handle realistically on different ground types. Customizable loadouts, weapons, armor, utility modules, just like the
So
ships.
you can tweak your tank or your buggy.
Seems so. And localized damage again. Taking a hit might blow a tire, damage the engine, affect performance specifically, not just a health bar.
Right, a blown tire on some hostile moon could be a real problem.
Exactly. And you'll need fuel, you'll need maintenance. Got to find stations or use repair ships. Resource management extends planet side.
Makes sense. Any AI using these vehicles, will the world feel alive down there?
Looks like it. They mention AI cargo convoys running between places, NPC factions using vehicles for security patrols.
So, potential targets or just world building?
Probably both. And hostile AI too. Raiders using vehicles for ambushes, setting up blockades, so the ground won't necessarily be safe.
Good. Add some dynamism. Okay, so ships, check. Ground vehicles, check. What about us, the actual character? What can we do on foot?
On-foot gameplay looks really fleshed out too. Movement includes walking, running, sprinting with stamina, watch out for that.
Standard stuff.
Plus crouching, going prone, leaning around cover, vaulting over obstacles, climbing things, even some parkour mentioned for complex areas.
Parkour. Okay. Interesting for navigating cities or complex terrain.
And the environment affects you. Slipping on ice, struggling through deep sand. It's not just flat ground everywhere.
Nice touch. What about zero G? Outside the ship, EVA stuff.
Yeah, EVA. You use suit thrusters for moving around. It's momentum-based, so you have to manage drift. Careful thrusting.
Like the ship physics, but personal scale.
Right. Magnetic boots to clamp onto hulls, jetpack upgrades for faster movement, and a tether system for safety, probably essential.
Don't want to drift off into the void.
Exactly. And planetary gravity affects you too. Big time. How high you jump, how fast you move. Mag boots help in high G, maybe suit assistance in low G.
Mag boots seem like a must-have item. Okay, weapons. What are we carrying personally?
Similar categories to ships, actually. Ballistic, energy, and melee weapons. Lots of customization mentions scopes, silencers, mods.
Modding our handguns.
Cool, and mechanics like weapon overheating, needing maintenance. Ballistics have bullet drop. Energy weapons lose power over distance. Armor penetration matters, different ammo, energy types versus armor types.
So combat's not just point and click either. Tactical depth on foot, too.
Seems that way. And special considerations for shipboard or zero-G combat, aim stabilization, maybe EVA weapon mods to handle recoil differently. They even mention handheld railguns and EMP weapons.
Handheld railguns.
Yeah.
Wow. What about getting up close and personal? Fisticuffs.
Yep, hand-to-hand combat system. Punches, kicks, blocks, grapples, stamina-based. And specialized melee weapons, too. Shock blades, plasma knives, that sort of sci-fi goodness.
Plasma knives. Ouch.
Uh,
Okay, so we can move, we can fight.
Yeah.
How do we interact with the world? Buttons, levers, people.
You get an OmniLink wrist device. Sounds like your main interface. Comms, inventory, maybe managing objective.
Your Pip-Boy, basically.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Inventory is physicalized. You actually see and pick up items, store them visibly, not just a list in a menu.
Oh, I like that. More immersive.
Definitely. Environmental interactions, opening hatches, using terminals, hacking mentioned again, and interacting with NPCs, dynamic stuff. Negotiation, persuasion, dialogue trees based on your reputation. Your choices should matter.
Reputation systems. Okay, so building relationships with factions or key characters.
Seems to be the idea.
Now, are there specific, jobs or gameplay loops for our character beyond fighting and talking?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Quite a few specialized activities. Mining and resource extraction, but on foot. Using personal tools for small deposits, or maybe guiding the bigger vehicle processes.
She can be a prospector.
Or a salvager. Dismantling shipwrecks, crashed vehicles, recovering parts and materials.
Turning trash into treasure.
Then there's repair and engineering, manually fixing ships and vehicles, replacing parts, rewiring things. Even mentioned temporary fixes, like duct tape and welding for emergencies.
Duct tape in space. Love it.
And managing ship power, like rerouting energy between systems. That sounds like a critical role, especially during crises.
Definitely an engineer role there. What about staying alive? Injuries? Survival?
Medical system looks detailed. Specific injuries, broken bones, burns, bleeding, different treatments required, field medkits versus proper hospitals. They even mention cybernetic enhancements as possible replacements or upgrades.
Cybernetics? And basic survival. Hunger, thirst.
Survival mechanics, yes. Managing oxygen, obviously, when outside. Temperature regulation in extreme environments. Radiation hazards. And, yes, food and hydration, especially on long trips away from bases.
So you really have to plan your expeditions. Pack snacks.
Pretty much. Don't forget your space snacks.
Huh. Lastly, what about help? Can we hire AI crew or companions?
Yes, recruiting and managing AI crewmates is in. And they have skill progression. They get better with training and experience, apparently.
So you can build your own loyal crew. That's cool.
And the enemy AI is meant to be smart, too. Tactical behavior using cover, setting ambushes, not just standing there waiting to be shot.
Good. A challenge is welcome. Wow. Okay. That's a lot. It really sounds like Star Explorer is going for this incredibly deep, interconnected simulation.
Yeah, that's the big takeaway, isn't it? It's not just one thing. It's how the spaceship systems, the ground vehicle systems, the character systems, how they all mesh together. Your skill and choices across all of them seem crucial.
Totally. And you can almost pinpoint those potential aha moments,
Yeah.
like realizing how ship modularity lets you build a unique business.
Or seeing the dynamic economy actually react to player actions. Mastering the Newtonian flight, nailing a tricky docking.
Right. Or surviving a fight because you understood the detailed damage model and prioritized repairs. Or getting outsmarted by clever AI.
Exactly. All those little details adding up to something potentially huge.
So this deep dive, hopefully, gives everyone listening a good foundation, a sense of the complexity, what makes it tick, without being totally bogged down. That shortcut to being well-informed.
That's the goal. A solid overview of the core pillars.
So thinking about all this, this level of detail in ships, vehicles, characters, the physics, the AI, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of unexpected gameplay, what player stories could emerge from a universe this simulated?
That's the exciting part, the emergent possibilities.
Yeah. What kind of role would you, the listener, actually carve out for yourself in a place like Star Explorer? Definitely something to think about.